Hi, my name's Grace. Welcome to another video. In these trying world pandemic times, I am back with some book recommendations of things that you might want to consider reading when you're growing as a person, when you feel like you're growing up, and when you want to connect back to what makes you happy and kind of improving yourself. And I think this is very important in these trying times because everyone's isolated, we feel quite alone, and there's nothing we can really do that's in our power other than like trying to just improve ourselves. And I think that's really important. You know, over the years, I stopped making YouTube videos on this channel as I grew older, and I think that's one of my biggest regrets because making videos is something that I love. I'm still as equally of an avid reader as I was when I was a teenager. I mean, I'm still a teenager. I'm 19, but I, started getting really involved in other things in high school, and I fell out of making YouTube videos because I wanted to do other organizations and be involved in those, and so I didn't have as much time on the weekends to make videos anymore, which is something I'm still really sad about and that I kind of, regret, but that's okay. And I'm here now, better late than never. I went off to college and I didn't really know how to kind of side with wanting to make YouTube videos in college or not, because in high school, something that I struggled with is I would walk past my classmates, or sometimes in general, my classmates would just show me my YouTube videos, and that was something that I was really self-conscious about. That kind of like brought up my question of when I went off to college, do I want to continue making YouTube videos or not? Because this is something that I struggled a lot with in high school. And so I just finished, technically I'm still a freshman, I'm a freshman at Princeton. I just finished my first year of school. The spring semester is still going on. We're still going until May, June, and like taking our exams virtually. All classes are online, but I already moved off campus. I've experienced my freshman year on campus already, and that's really sad to say. Something that has really helped me cope with the fact that I'm a lot lonelier than I was at college and I don't get to see my friends every day is like reading and books, and I've really used that as a source for keeping myself sane and keeping myself as happy as it can be in this time. So, with kind of like the sad, sappy stuff out of the way, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys today about some books that I think are really great for A, when you're kind of sad in these like quarantine times, B, when you feel like you're growing up and you feel like you're changing as a person. Your taste, it's okay for your taste to change, and I definitely think my reading taste has changed over the years, so I'm gonna talk about that as well. And then just some feel-good things to make you feel good, because quarantine is hard and being away from the people you love is really hard, and kind of like digging into yourself and thinking about your own self-improvement I think is so important in order to stay sane and to kind of improve yourself. You want to come out of this feeling great even though it wasn't a good time. You want to make the most of your time because that's what life is about. So I'm going to show you my pile of books and then we'll get into it. So we seem to have quite a themed color scheme here today, but I'm here for it. We have a little bit of pink, a little bit of white and green, a lot of bit of pink actually. I'm a terrible liar, but with that in mind, let's get to it. So I feel like I don't talk about a lot of personal things on this channel, and I think that was really intentional because I went through a lot of self-esteem and personal issues in middle school and high school, and obviously I'm still going through those struggles. It's not like I've magically healed myself. I've just more so accepted that I have some things that I need to deal with within my own self. Some books that I've read that have helped me with my own personal anxiety, I wouldn't necessarily say I have any diagnosis. I just like have, really like anxious thoughts about like certain events that happen in my life or just like life in general. So a book that has helped me with that has been Calm the Fuck Down. It's a great title. It's one of my own personal favorites. This book is really good at helping you decipher the things in your life that you can control and the things that you can't. And I think something that I have a tough time getting over is there are a lot of things in my life that I just can't control. Like something that terrified me when I was first learning how to drive was like, I can control myself and I can control what my vehicle does, but I'm so terrified about all of the other cars on the road. Like I have no control over them. And that was like a hurdle that I had to cross. And I'm so glad that I did because I love driving. I love like putting my windows down, listening to music, whatever. It's so important to realize that this is a metaphor for the rest of your life because you are a car, you're driving on the same roads that everyone else does. Like everyone's coexisting with you. You can only control what you can control. And I think Sarah Knight does a great job of explaining this to you, but also talking to you about how you can cope with this and like trying to like make the most of it, because everyone gets stressed out about life. Everyone gets stressed out about things. But as long as you can recognize, diagnosing the problem is the first thing. As long as you can recognize that, you're one step closer to not giving a flying fuck. And you're one step closer to like self-improvement and being able to tame and access that point of yourself and growing upon that. And I think that was something that took me a long time to realize that. And obviously I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I still have a lot of problems with that, but I think with this book, like I'm just one step closer. Every single time I pick it up, I reread it again. And it's a really good source of mental health help. Like I don't have a therapist. I probably need one. Sarah Knight's the next best thing. The next book is more so an example example of what I think you should be doing during this time while you have a lot of time to reflect on yourself and what you've been doing with your life. And that's just like kind of going back to childhood favorites. So right now I'm actually currently reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. I actually read Harry Potter really late. Like I've mentioned on my channel before, like that I had never read Harry Potter. And that was a point of shock for a lot of people. Over the last few years, I read all of the books and I really, really enjoyed them. And I think they bring the essence of childhood happiness and just what it's like to be adventurous and curious. That's just my favorite point of these books, and something that I really feel like I need in this time. Like that point of nostalgia is really great for me because like, oh, there are things that are happening in these kids' lives that literally mean life and death, the end of the world, that kind of thing. Like these are crazy things that are happening. Also, they're just children and they want to be loved, and like that, isn't that the point of life? Like that's all of us. I have really loved rereading Harry Potter and it's just made me so happy. So I would really suggest trying to pick up a book that makes you happy and rereading it, because you'll remember what it was like to read it for the first time and it'll really make you feel good, and that'll make you, you know, make this whole crisis go away a little bit more. The next book that I want to talk about is Good Morning, Good Night by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And Lin-Manuel Miranda is the original Hamilton for the Hamilton musical. He wrote music, I believe, and it's just kind of an icon. Not kind of, he is an icon. These are little pep talks. They're illustrated poems where they'll say good morning, good night, and they'll tell you things like, good morning, you are stunning, use your power wisely. I set this by my bed and I read a good morning every single morning, and then I read a good night every single night. And this has been something that I'm doing since I've been home from college. These are just so great because they're routine, and I think routine is so important, especially in this time, because that's really the only thing that's gonna get you through this whole thing. Like waking up, reading a good morning, making my bed, making coffee is something that I really treasure because it keeps me sane. This has been amazing. I have really, really appreciated kind of being able to talk myself up to make sure that I know that today is gonna be a good day. I'm gonna try my best, even though Zoom classes suck sometimes, even though online university is not where I wanna be. But you know what? That's the way it is, and a lot of people have to be in the same situation, and I realize that. So this has been a really great thing for me to be like, all right, this is my pep talk. I'm gonna kill today. I think this is a great suggestion for anyone who might be struggling with dealing with quarantine and self-isolation. Maybe try picking this one up. And then the next book I wanna talk about is actually a journal. So I picked this up at my local bookstore, so I don't know if you can get this actually, but it's a gratitude journal, and essentially, I'm not gonna show you what I've written, but there's like morning meditation and evening reflection in it. You talk about how you feel, what you're grateful for, what you're looking forward to for the day. I think this is just a great way for me to wake up, you know, read my good morning, make my coffee, journal during this time, and kind of just plan out my mindset. Because if I tell myself that I'm going to be happy for the day, generally I'll be pretty happy for the day. It's like incredible what you can do to like tell yourself in order to like keep yourself going. It's definitely a great way to keep myself accountable. I put my agenda and checklist here for the day as well, because, you know, I'm a student, I have to get a lot of assignments done. Yesterday I was up till really late, like 3 a.m. in the morning, writing my paper for this class. But I told myself, I wrote it down on my checklist. I was like, Grace, you're not going to bed until you finish this paper. And that was a goal that I set for myself, and I had to achieve it before I wrote my evening reflection. So even though it can kind of be pushed to extremes sometimes, I still feel like it's something that's been good for me overall. Definitely a habit that I want to carry into, you know, freedom as soon as this whole thing blows over. That's like a suggestion that I would make. Grab a journal, write things down. It'll help pass the time, and it'll also help you mentally. The next book I want to talk about is Period Power. This has been great because I feel now more than ever women are more comfortable with speaking out about things like this. I think the menstrual movement is so important because it brings up the topic of what it's like to be a woman in this day and age, like living day to day. What does it actually mean to have a period and all those things, and that we should actually be celebrated. And it's not necessarily more so about periods, but I think this book is all about finding your own voice and being comfortable with yourself. And I think that's something that a lot of women struggle with, and I think myself included, and that this book really shed to light on and made me more comfortable about myself, my gender, like what it means for me to exist in the world. I think this is a good book to read, especially when you're in like isolation like this, because there's really nothing else for you to do than think. Like I saw this meme on Instagram the other day and it was like, what do you want me to do in quarantine? Just like sit with my thoughts? And essentially that's it. Not every single day do you have to go on TikTok, do you have to like be constantly watching Netflix? Like there are other ways to occupy yourself. Learning about who you are, learning about things and books that are gonna help you get there is a much better use of your time than just like watching TikTok. And honestly, I watch YouTube videos all the time. Like I'm on Netflix too, but I always try to make time for these things first, and I prioritize that just because I feel like it leads more to my self-improvement, which is ultimately a goal that I set for myself this this year. And then the last book that I want to talk about is I Love My Love, A Journey Toward Self. And this book is a book of poems, and it's all about self-love. Something that I think is really important to talk about is how you perceive yourself, because that is also how it affects your relationships. And that's something that I'm slowly starting to realize, and I know that I don't fully realize because it definitely affects my own personal relationships and like how I am with other people. This is something that I love to read when I need reminders, because even though you like read something, you get those reminders, you like listen to people who are giving you advice about what's going on in your life, your own personal relationships. Sometimes you don't necessarily always apply that, and that's important to know, and definitely something that I have seen within myself. The first step is recognizing the problem, that maybe you aren't loving yourself in the correct way, that you maybe need to learn that. I think my favorite poem is on page 59. It's called Eloquence, and it says, "Be good to me, I dare you." Like, you're daring yourself to treat yourself the right way that you should be treated, and that you shouldn't accept anything else. And I think that's so important because we can get down on ourselves when we're in isolation, and we can feel like there's no hope, there's like nothing else to do but just sit around. But that's not the case. Like, you can pick up a new hobby, you can reinvent something that you've already, you know, really enjoyed, like this YouTube channel, for example. There's so many ways. So those are my books that you must read for self-help during quarantine. You must listen to me and pick up all of them. No, you don't have to do that, but they're just my suggestions. They're suggestions to help you get through this time because it sucks. I'll link all of them down in the description box below. I love chatting with people, so please leave a comment down below about what books have been helping you get through quarantine, or message me somewhere else. Let's have a chat because I have nothing else to do. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you liked it even more, subscribe to my channel. My name is Grace, and I will see you in another video. Cheers!